Hi you guys, welcome. So today I have a story time. I always say that you must be careful with Chinese schools and not just take any job that you get. Be very discerning when it comes to these jobs because I am speaking from experience. Alright, so in 2018 I was applying for jobs. Eventually I get a job at this school in Shanghai. I'd name and shame, but I think that's not illegal or whatever. I could get in trouble. Right. So I get a job from this school. By the way, I've never told this story properly to other people. I just said that I changed jobs. That's what I went with, but that's not exactly what happened. So I get a job from the school. The hiring process was these are some of the red flags. So the hiring process was very rushed. And it was like I got the job at the end of July. At the end of August, they wanted me to be there. Mind you, usually the process should take about 2 months, but I only had 1 month. I didn't have my police clearance. It was such a mess. It was the most stressful time of my life. Anyway, so I tried to get the documents ready. That's why I always tell you guys to always have your documents ready before you apply. Anyway, I get my documents ready. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. It was super stressful. I don't even want to think about it. I get here. They didn't have nobody to pick me up at the airport. Another red flag. My first time abroad, I told them that already, but they don't send nobody to come get me. It's just I'm on my own. They only were going to reimburse me for the amount I spent on transport, but that was that. And then I also only had a hotel for 2 days from them, and then after that I was on my own. You are supposed to have at least 2 weeks paid hotel stay by your employer so that you are able to look for a place to stay properly. But with this school, it was just like 2 days, and then I was on my own. Luckily, I had this teacher who's from the US that I'd spoken to when I was still in SA because we were going to share literature. Anyway, yeah, so she offered for me to stay with her while I looked for my own place to stay. So after 2 days, I only stayed at the hotel for 1 day because I arrived on Saturday and I was supposed to go to work on, excuse me, I just feel like I'm not dressed up. I was supposed to go to work on Monday, so I stayed on Sunday and then I moved out Sunday afternoon. So Sunday afternoon, I move out, go to this lady's house. I go to work first because the hotel was very close to the school. And then I get a welcome, I guess just a mini orientation. And then I go back to this lady's house. The following day, I had no idea what I was going to be teaching. I had no idea. I was just thrown into the classroom. Another red flag. Teaching IB, I'm thrown to the classroom. Literature, okay, we can work with that. But with IB, I didn't even have a teacher book. I was just thrown into the classroom. Right. And then things keep going on. We have our first meeting with the other teachers in the school. The meeting was so intense. I think after just 1 week of working there, we have a meeting with the principal, the co-principal, and then our manager in our department, because it was a public school but with an international department. It's very common here. Anyway, we have a meeting. It's very intense. The teachers who had been working in the school for some time were very unhappy. They didn't like the manager. It was just a very sour, heavy meeting. I was like, what? Anyway, so there were 3 teachers. There was a black teacher from the US, a white teacher from the US, and then they both, after just 2 weeks of working there, they both quit. The American one, the black one, quit because they wouldn't let her teach history properly. They wanted her to censor things so much that she would have been bored with her job. So she quit. And then the other teacher quit because She wasn't happy with the environment. The other teacher was not happy with the environment as well, but the other one quit because she didn't like the environment. The other one left because she also wanted better health insurance. Apparently she was living with some disease. I forgot what disease it was, but the school wouldn't help her with that, on top of her not being happy with the environment. So she was like, I'm going to just leave and find a better job. Another teacher was let go because they had a misunderstanding about, he took time off. So the holiday was supposed to start from Friday, so he wanted his holiday to start on Thursday, and he was trying to negotiate with the manager, but he wouldn't let him. But he'd already booked the tickets, so he went anyway, and then they let go of him. They fired him. Anyway, so this is this environment. I'm put in an IB classroom when I'm supposed to go for training first before I teach. I taught and only went for training in March the following year. So I got at the school in September and only went for training in March. When I was teaching already IB, you definitely need training. Anyway, so things go on. I realized that this manager is very sexist. He's also very racist. So he would be, the male teachers would get whatever they wanted. So if a person requested to move a class for whatever reason, this happens in schools, they would let them. But if you asked, then it was not a very good idea. He would listen to male teachers during meetings, literally never listened to female teachers, or just dismissed us. He was very passive aggressive. I just didn't like him, and he didn't like me because I don't do well with people like that. I retaliate. So I wouldn't say anything, but my actions would definitely let you know that I don't like you. And we shared an office with him. This other new teacher and me, we all shared the office, and then because apparently they wanted to keep tabs on us, they didn't want us to be free like the other foreign teachers. Anyway, I was in one of my classes, the grade 11s, and one student was sitting at the back by herself. So I just was like, oh, you just prefer sitting by yourself, you're not a people person. And that was a huge deal. The following day, her parents came. I triggered her. I was picking up on her. I swear I was so confused, but it was not the kid's fault. Apparently she had mental health issues, so she was supposed to be left alone, but I didn't know that. Of course, you go to class and you try to interact with the students and you try to build a relationship, but the school didn't tell me that she had mental health problems, which was very important for them to tell me because this would not have happened. So that made me feel very uneasy as well. So they kept things to themselves and they didn't tell teachers important information that we are supposed to know so that we know how to move around the students. Another burden fell on me. So now I was in trouble, in a sense, not in trouble, but the parents came and it was a huge deal when it could have been prevented had this man done his job, the manager. Okay, so the school also, I've mentioned racism, I've mentioned sexism. There was also this thing of pleasing parents because it was more, so schools here are businesses, like legit businesses where they are trying to make as much money as possible, but also offering education, the best education. So anyway, because of that, they usually put the parents first before the teachers. No matter what is going on with you, you just have to do your best and you have to produce. Good schools don't do that, but anyway, bad schools do this. You have to just be at your best, no matter the cost. It doesn't matter if the students are horrible, you just have to teach. So it was the case with the school where the parents came first, right? No matter what, because they needed the money. That was very stressful. It created a lot of anxiety. It created a lot of emotional turmoil because you don't matter really. They just want the students to be happy and their parents, and then maybe you, but not really also at the same time. So it was very stressful. I hated going to work. I remember I hated going to work. I took a lot of days off. I was sick a lot as well. I just was very unhappy at the school. The white teachers were treated way better than the black teachers. It was so insane. At one point, so the winter holidays come and then I get a meeting. I get called in for a meeting with the manager and the agency that I used at first. So the problem was that apparently the students were complaining about me, which was not true. Both the grade 10s and the grade 11s. It's if students are complaining you, it's just a matter of they'll go to whoever is in charge and say whatever. But this man went fishing for things. Of course, if you go to kids and be like, what do you think about this teacher? What do you think about this teacher? Kids are not going to say the nicest of things. Teachers should be protected by whoever is in charge. So he'd do that, and then of course kids had, because we didn't like each other, so he was trying to look for things at this point. Mind you, I had teaching experience already, so it wasn't like I can't teach, and no, I could teach. Anyway, so students were complaining about me, even the grade 10s, who had such a beautiful relationship with the grade 10s, never had problems, even with the grade 11s. So yeah, there was a meeting about that, and then because of that, I was put on probation, and then I had to submit lesson plans formally, and then he'd have to come and check in my classes and stuff like that. So the following semester of working there was just that. So I'm on probation, I'm submitting lesson plans, I'm doing my job. It's intense, I'm scared, I don't feel welcome anymore. It's just a mess. And then eventually, I think around the beginning of May, I think, so the beginning of May, I was the only person submitting lesson plans, by the way. So the beginning of May, eventually, I get an email from the agency telling me that the school is going to be terminating my contract at the end of the semester. And then, yeah, they appreciate my working there and whatever. It was devastating. I remember I was sitting on my bed just watching movies on a Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, and then I get this email. Immediately I go online and then I start applying, because I knew that I didn't want to go back to South Africa. It was supposed to be a 2-year contract, but then I only worked in that school for like a year. I start applying immediately, and then after like 2 weeks of applying, I get a job at my current school. It was so insane. Everything was much better. The pay was way better. The benefits were way better. The communication was way better. The paperwork, I was going to stay here in China because I was supposed to leave at the end of June, go home visit, but then I stayed for like 2 weeks so that my visa could be processed and stuff. Everything seemed legit. When I was at home, they had a driver get me. They told me that they would have a driver get me. They had a place for me. They looked for a place for me and got a place very close to the school. Everything was way better than the first school. So even though everything was way better, I still get anxiety. Or even though everything is better now and was better and everything didn't go as they had wished in the school, I still get very anxious about teaching here, and just how quickly you can just lose your job. Not so long ago, a friend was telling me that they went to work and a friend, one of the colleagues was just let go out of the blue. He taught PE. I'm like, what do you mean out of the blue? He was like, he was just let go. There was an email, then they saw him leave, and then that was that. So you can lose your job just like that here without an explanation. You can contest it, you can get a lawyer and stuff, but working in an environment where you're not welcome doesn't make sense. Anyway, it hurt. It was very, very confusing. I didn't understand. I'd love to say that God had something better in mind for me and whatnot. No, even though that is the case, and I'm very appreciative of having lost this job now, but in the moment, I would not have wanted to lose that job, because to me, it was a way better opportunity than I had in the past. So yeah, it really hurt, and it really messed up with just my psyche in terms of working here and not feeling comfortable enough. I'm way more comfortable now, and I'm not very anxious about my current job because it's an amazing job. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that I could not lose it just like that. So for me, that's very scary. So when I tell you guys that be careful with these schools, even the good ones and whatnot, mine had lots of red flags, but I just didn't know that they were red flags at the time. So I am speaking from experience. Please listen to me. And when you come here, just know that anything really could happen. Not to scare you, but China is what it is, and there's nothing we can do about that. Anyway, I got a better job. I'm grateful. God is so good. My school is amazing. I'm happy. It's not demanding. This other school didn't even pay a lot, but it was a demanding job. This school pays me a decent amount of money. It's not even demanding. I really get paid to do nothing, if we're being honest. Thank you guys for tuning in. I love you so much. Bye.